So as we think about potential uses of artificial intelligence, right? What does it mean? Like, what does artificial intelligence even mean, right? And this context is very important to understand the biggest use of artificial intelligence, the first use I will talk about. So that's where my talk will start. I will start with what is artificial intelligence. I will try to explain a few things about it. And then we will get into some potential uses. So the first, as I said, the first segment is very important to establish the first basic use. Then we will go to all the potential uses. And then I will also talk about, as a student of high school, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, what does it mean for your career? Right, so please be patient. We will come to that part also. You'll have to excuse me a bit. I'm talking to all the audience. You'll have to excuse me a bit from time to time. I will be looking at my watch, but that's only to make sure that I cover everything and I'm not rushed in the end. So let's get started. What is artificial intelligence? कृत्रिम बुद्धिमत्ता क्या है? Right? So today this is a fashion. You go to like any school, any college, any computer society, even like non-computer societies. Today there's a fashion to design machines which are artificially intelligent, right? And this kind of coding problems you will see multiple times. So for example, there's a crosswalk, and the problem would be design a robot that can reliably cross the road. Now, I know some of you are thinking, oh my God, it's such a hard problem. It's only for math student or computer science student. No. This is straight here right now. Let's just think about it. I promise you, to solve this problem, we don't need anything more than 8th class physics. वो सबने पढ़ी है. So design a robot that can reliably cross this road. So here's a solution we propose. We say that we will use with something called titanium porcupine robot. We will get a shell of like hardened titanium. We will get some spikes on it, put some wheels on it. That will be our hardware. What will be the electric circuit that will be manning it? This is a very simple circuit diagram. It is a motor that is powering the wheels. There is some battery and there's a switch. Now think about it. Now think about this device. The problem statement is a device, a machine to successfully cross the road. आपको केवल वो road पार करनी है. You got this thing. If it collides with a car, the car will go puncture, this thing will survive. So all you have to do is you put this device over there, you push the switch on, and this device will successfully cross the road. On the way, it may puncture some cars. There will be a few punctured tires. On the way, people will just look at it and stop it, but this device will successfully cross the road. Is it intelligent? Of course not. Does it have any software in it? Of course not. You just took a motor, you took a power source, you put a battery. ये तो 8th class में भी पढ़ा था. You just started this device. So let's say you submit this device, your design of this device, and the organizers are like, no. This is not. We don't want you to puncture all the cars. We want to design a robot that can reliably and safely cross the road. Let's say new criteria has been added: safety. Okay, so we build the second version of it. And please bear with me. There's a reason I'm telling you this. It is important to understand this context. ये बहुत ज़रूरी है समझना कि ये artificial intelligence कृत्रिम बुद्धिमत्ता होती क्या है. It's important to understand this context for the first use I'm going to tell you. So okay, we make the second version of this thing. We take the hardware and put in a camera on top of it. These days you find these cameras, like it's very easy to find anywhere. From Bombay के भिंडी बाजार से लाजपत नगर से लेकर आपके Amazon और Flipkart पे मिल जाएंगे आराम से. You get a camera. Now if you have to run the camera, you'll have to modify the circuit a bit. You will have to add a microprocessor. Again, nothing very complicated. ये Raspberry Pi और इस तरह की चीजें आप लोग प्रोग्राम करते रहते हैं. And not only you, like people in 5th grade, 6th grade are programming these things. Very simple thing. And this will need some software where you say, some open source image processing to understand the traffic light. And then you program a very simple rule If light equal to green, then start, otherwise don't start. Right? Now in this, you added some software and you added a if then else statement. In the previous version, there was also software, there was, and by its absence, they were there. It was like you just pressed a button and something happened. Here you added a conditionality. Now this robot will wait and cross as soon as the light is green. Is it intelligent? Is it artificially intelligent? And that's a highly debatable topic right now. When you learn the traffic rules and then you tell the machine what to do, that means you are intelligent. The machine has not yet become intelligent. It's not artificially intelligent in that way. Right? And so then we go back and submit this design, and organizers will say again, no, this is not artificial intelligence, because all you did was you took some, like if you go back here, all you did was you took some open source image processing software. This kind of software has been around for decades. There's nothing intelligent about it. It will tell you whether the light is green or red. And you added a one simple condition: if light is green, then start, otherwise don't. Your entire, as of 5 years ago, almost 99% of the programs you saw were built on this construct. They were not intelligent. You have been using it as soon, I mean, आजकल तो programming बहुत जल्दी चालू हो जाती है. You've been using the if then else statement forever in your thing. It's not intelligent. Finally, the organizers look, and you've been solving the problem. First problem was reliably cross the road. You did that. You said reliably and safely. You did that. We still not made an intelligent machine. Finally, the organizers kind of pose the correct problem. पहली बार वो problem से ही कर रहे हैं कि design a robot that can learn how to reliably and safely cross the road. This learning aspect, and that is what intelligence is. So artificial intelligence is about learning. It's actually software that can learn and go ahead. So let's see. So now if you have to design this robot, how do you do that? You use the exact same hardware. You use the exact same electrical circuit. The difference between intelligent and non-intelligent devices or machines or systems is not hardware. I mean, you need some hardware to be able to support some software, but it doesn't have to be hardware. I mean, it happens in your classroom also, right? Think of your class. Who is the smartest person and who is the dumbest person? They have the exactly same hardware. The difference is software. Because now if you have to make this robot learn on how to safely and reliably cross the road, then you will have to program some software inside it. And that software is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is software, first of all, that can learn based on given inputs and outputs. And we'll talk a bit more about how you will do it, right? But that's the first lesson, right? Artificial intelligence is software that can learn the necessary rules itself based on various inputs and outputs. If you program this robot, that microprocessor right, then based on the sensors, the camera it has, and other things about safety, it will automatically learn when to cross the road, when not to cross the road. And that's very important. अगर आपने सीखकर इसे बता दिया, तो आप intelligent हैं, ये intelligent थोड़ी है. The intelligence comes when this can learn itself. And you can use the same hardware, you just change the software, and it can learn. So that's our first lesson. That's about, this is very important about artificial intelligence, and you'll see in the rest of the talk why it becomes super important. चलिए आगे चलते हैं. So how do you make it learn? Like, think about it, right? How can you design or you can write some software that will make this titanium porcupine robot learn how to safely cross the road? And now again, I'm sure some of you are thinking, oh, this takes, a lot of complicated math. It takes, you must have heard about, all these neural networks and transformers and whatnot. I can promise you in the rest of the talk, I will not use those words again. Because just bear with me. Now let's say to design this software, you just say, success What is success? Success is every time this robot can cross the road without puncturing a tire, right? Or whatever success, safely cross the road. Okay, the main input over here is the traffic light. So you do this test. You try it 20 times. 20 times under human conditions, under controlled conditions. You let it decide whether the light is red or green, and then you let it go, and you feed in, you have a feedback mechanism on whether it was successful or not. Nothing complicated. Nothing complicated at all. You just basically took that signal, you let it go 20 times, and then you see that green, whenever the light was green, it was successful 9 of the 10 times. When the light was red, it was successful only 3 of the 10 times. Maybe there was nobody on the road at that time or whatever. Now, all you have to write is some regression software, which again, it's not beyond 10th class mathematics. Itni aap sabne padhi hai. It's not beyond 10th class mathematics to write some software which tells the robot that when the light is green, only that condition that we plan, that we had coded earlier, if light equal to green, then start, else don't, a very simple regression model or probabilistic model, which is also called Bayesian model, in fact, can learn it. And you have learned it. You may not know these names, but you have learned it already, right? Anyone can look at this data and say, okay, the robot should cross in green light, not in red light. And that is artificial intelligence. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be, whatever transformers and neural networks and this and that. In fact, that is the reality of industries. Sunita ji, you said that I've been working with Fortune 500s and startups and government departments, helping them understand artificial intelligence. This is the first thing I tell them, which I'm telling all of you today. That in reality, basic artificial intelligence algorithms are far more successful than the algorithms that make headlines. Oh my God, GPT came and it made like, so many billion parameters and this billion parameters and wrote the op-ed, that's great. And it's important. There's very important research going on. But in reality, in the industry, it is simple regressions. It's simple neural networks that are really fundamentally changing the way the world behaves. Right? So that takes me to the second lesson. Artificial intelligence does not have to be complicated. And it is important. It is important to understand that, because I see kids all around me. I see people, grown-ups and professionals, who just give up on artificial intelligence. They are scared of artificial intelligence because they think it is a completely new science. They think it's a completely kind of an alien thing. They think it is like, you need to be expert in robotics or you expert in something else. They think that it's something completely different, and they just give up on it because they're scared of it. They don't understand it. And that's what I'm trying to say. First of all, artificial intelligence software, which needs to learn by itself. It needs to learn the rules of the game itself by inputs and outputs. And the learning can be as simple as what I showed in the last screen. Learning could be counting and just putting probabilities on different conditions. It does not have to be complicated. And the reason I'm stressing you this is as following. So, okay, now you'll ask, okay, fine, you know what? We made 3 versions of that robot. In the first version itself, if let's say road crossing was a problem, and maybe safely road crossing was a problem, in the first or second version itself, we solved the problem. Right? We told it that, whenever the light is green, you cross, you avoid road. That's what we tell our kids. Our kids are intelligent. We just made a robot which solved the problem. What is the advantage of using artificial intelligence in that robot? Why did we have to make the third version? Doesn't matter how simple or how complex it is. It was more complicated than the second version. I agree. The advantage is that with artificial intelligence, if you program it right, you get the rules that nobody else has even thought about. And I will, in the rest of the talk, I will elaborate more on that. I will. But, for example, if the only thing was, red lights and green lights, what about yellow lights? You can tell it. You can program like, if light equal to yellow, do this, do that. But if you try enough, अगर आप इसको बार बार ट्राई करेंगे, इस पे enough इनपुट्स और आउटपुट्स देंगे, ये अपने आप सीखेगा कि येलो लाइट्स का क्या करना है. What about blinking lights? What about other lights, right? So you basically don't have to, once you have written that learning software properly, you don't have to worry about anything else. The learning software will learn automatically. What about now cameras say we just were taking the traffic light information, right? We were just, वहां से हम केवल traffic light की information लगा के उसको पूरा हम model बना रहे थे. The camera can get the whole thing. What if it can also detect vehicles coming or not? Nothing complicated. You just update the software that, again, this software has been around for, decades. You just update the software. शायद hardware थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा powerful processor चाहिए होगा, but that's it. And you can say whether cars are coming or not. And if that signal comes in, can the robot run, irrespective of lights, can it learn when to cross, when not to cross? Again, if you have a good learning software, it will do all these things automatically, right? Why not? Like, so if it can it be transported to a place where there are no traffic lights, just on a road? Because if it has trained itself on cars, then it can do that too. Why not? So you can see that every step of the way, this getting the software and designing the right software can just make these machines learn more and more complex things. It can learn automatically on various success metrics that you program in, on various inputs and outputs you give it to it. It can keep learning automatically more and more complicated things. And you can also change the objectives, right? Maybe you want to say, not only safely and reliably cross the road, you also want to be respectful to the elderly. If an elderly is crossing the road, you want them to say, okay, you know what, just kind of go slowly around them or wait for them or whatever, right? You change the objectives. Maybe you don't want it to safely cross the road. You want it to puncture more cars because you have the puncture shop down the road. I'm just joking right now. So you just change the objective, and this intelligence, the same software that you wrote for first thing, will automatically learn these things. And all these problems I'm saying, it doesn't, I mean, yeah, in using a neural network, you can do it much faster, but it doesn't need a lot of complications. So that is the power of AI, that, the simple thing of a device crossing the road can be done so much better in so many different ways, in so many different with so many different nuances. कितनी सारी चीजें हम इसमें fit कर सकते हैं. हमें केवल इतना करना है, we have to define a success criteria, और उसमें हमें बताना है कि input क्या है, output क्या है. That's it, and the software learns itself. And that is the power of AI. And so you'll see more thing, right? But here is the first application of AI. Why did I spend all these 20 minutes coming to this point? I talked about how AI is simple software which can learn on its own. I said it didn't have to be complicated, and yet it can do so many different things. All this was building up to the first application of AI, which is everything. Everything that you do today. आज आप जो भी कुछ करते हैं, आज से 5 साल पहले तो AI थी नहीं, 5 साल पहले आप जो भी कुछ करते थे, सब कुछ is a potential application of AI. The same phone call, the same your ads, the same kind of education, the same internet, सब कुछ धीरे 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 without you even realizing AI is taking over. And it's not those, AI, वो Watson नहीं है, वो robots नहीं है. It's not those heavy headline-driven AI. It's the AI at subtle levels, at the macro level, which is just taking over. It's AI machines which are getting better and better and better at their jobs and are doing it. And so when you sit back and think about, oh, what can we do with AI? Pick anything that has any digits flowing through it, any bits, binary things flowing to it, and you can use AI to make it much better, much more responsive, much more scalable. And that basically, we are living in a world where everything is a potential application of AI, and people are applying it. इंडिया में ही इतने ज्यादा कंपनीज आ रही है, इतना ज्यादा काम हो रहा है. अगर आप यूएस मिला लीजिए, चाइना मिला लीजिए, इतना ज्यादा काम हो रहा है. हर चीज को people are questioning again. Everything has been questioned again on how it can be done differently based on AI. And that is the reason I spent all this time to build up to this point, that this AI is, you actually, you have to ask the question, what is not a potential application of AI? And I will struggle to answer that. So बढ़ते आगे. Fine. So let's come to, like, let's make it real, right? I kind of gave you a metaphor, like a big level. Like, okay, everything is an application of AI. Let's make it real. What does that mean? Before I play this video, I just want to be clear that we are not endorsing anything mentioned here, Rephrase AI or Cadbury's or Shah Rukh Khan or anything. I'm just playing this video for you as an example of what I was talking about. Let's see if it works.
आप भी अपना मीटर वहीं से लेना.
We used machine learning to recreate Shah Rukh Khan's face and voice to take the local store names in the ads.
इस दिवाली आप भी ना अपने पास वाले चॉइस ऑफ फैशन से ही कपड़ों की शॉपिंग करना. पास वाले आजकल फैशन से ही, रॉयल फैशन से ही, एनके क्लॉथ्स से ही, पास वाली लक्ष्मी कलेक्शन से ही कपड़ों की शॉपिंग करना. इस दिवाली आप भी ना अपने पास.
Different versions of the same ad with local store names were targeted as per the PIN code of the viewer, showing them only the nearby stores. But it is impossible to cover all the stores. So we gave the power to the people to create their own version of not just a Cadbury ad. Any small business owner could promote their stores through their own social media networks like WhatsApp forwards and other social media pages.
मैं भी नहीं सोचा था कि शाहरुख खान मेरी दुकान गाइड करे.
आप भी अपना मीटर.
Now think about it. Think about what just happened. ये आपने ऐड देखा होगा, इंडिया में काफी पॉपुलर चल रहा है और यूट्यूब पे काफी पॉपुलर है, यहाँ पे भी सोशल मीडिया में काफी दिख रहा है ये. Using AI, you took a superstar to advertise or to promote a local shop. You could go and basically say, I want Shah Rukh Khan to say X, and unka mujhe ad banana. Now Shah Rukh Khan is not saying that. We are making just videos of that thing. And you just put in your name and details, and you have a video of Shah Rukh Khan saying that. Now imagine the same thing without AI. It's just not possible. It's just not possible for Shah Rukh Khan to be able to go to lakhs of stores and shoot for them. And that's just one example, because you made that software once. जो भी जिस कंपनी ने भी काम किया इस ad के लिए, they made that software only once. And they trained the software. And then beyond that, everyone can go there, just enter their thing, and a new video comes out. I can bet you that they did not. Just humanly not possible for them to program for each thing. They just programmed the thing once. And but train ho gaya, to ho gaya. And that's why I'm saying everything is an application of AI. This is just an example of how simple advertising can be done very differently. It can be thought of in a very different way using AI. So I will change the third lesson. The last time I had it on this board was everything is an application of AI. I'm saying everything done today can be done better, faster, and in more scalable way, in large numbers, using AI. You just saw an example. This is just a very simple example right now, right? An ad is made using a celebrity, and if it's a big celebrity like Shah Rukh Khan, then only some companies can afford it. And using AI, you took it down to every single store in the country can afford a superstar pitching for them. And that's why I'm saying this is the use of AI. This is the biggest use of AI. Don't shy away from AI. AI is very simple. AI is just software. जैसे हम कंप्यूटर प्रोग्राम लिखते हैं, जो हमारे IT इंजीनियर होते हैं, वैसे ही AI का काम होता है. It is nothing complicated, but it is so powerful that every single thing is an application of AI. I will list out a few things यहाँ पे, and I probably spend 2 minutes on this slide just talking about like each of these applications. And these are the things you're used to. These are the things you're used to, but you can think of like how using AI, it's done very differently. I'll just rattle off some things, right? Online shopping. Most websites show you a different product based on different users once they have learned about it. Your shopping experience is unique to you. It's not the same shopping experience that you're getting, at least most complicated websites. Smart homes and cities. यहाँ पर मेरा एक दोस्त काम करता था एक startup में, where they can, just based on when you switch on and switch off things, they can detect what is going on in your home and advise you accordingly, so that you can save costs, you can save energy, you can be more responsible. Efficient cars. Forget about self-driving cars. And again, this is again people who are interested in mechanical stuff. जो camshaft and crankshaft होते हैं in engine में, the camshaft and crankshaft, which are now electronic. How do you fire them for higher fuel efficiency? Right? Driven by AI. Cyber security, it's an arms race. Bad guys are using AI to make more powerful attacks, and good guys are using AI to make more and more defenses. But AI is everywhere. Manufacturing, and again, very, very simple AI-driven machines. How do you increase productivity? How do you dynamically program every machine so that your productivity, your throughput is higher? All driven by AI. अगर नहीं हो रहा है तो जल्दी ही वो replace होगा, क्योंकि सारी companies, सारे जो manufacturers हैं, सारे जो machine के वो जो उत्पादक है, वो सब इस पे अब focus करना चालू कर चुके हैं. And you keep going on and on and on. Agriculture, using drones and imagery to figure out what does a thing need. In Global Indian Scientists and Technocrats Forum, that's a big focus. How do you get the modern technologies for better agriculture? Finance and trading, AI algorithms are beating humans all the time, and in the US market, most of the trading is done by artificial intelligence algorithm already. It's not futuristic. It's already happening. Dynamic pricing, there are algorithms that price, not only the shopping experience is different, they price different based on the time of the day. Legally they can't price different for individuals, but time of the day, and they actually can recommend different pricing for individuals. Obviously they can't do it. And so on and so forth. Spam filtering, whatever you're used to today is being subtly, it's being kind of unknowingly changed by AI. Your search engine, Google, is being changed by AI. History and archaeology, Gagan ji, आपने अभी आर्नी जी की बात की, right? And I'm also involved in some projects where we are finally using AI to decrypt the Indus Valley script. I don't know if it will be successful or not, but at least we are making a shot to do that. Your military, like we recently saw the Israel में जो unrest हुआ था. I'm not again taking sides here, but they actually used swarm drones, a drone swarm, basically multiple drones to actually attack the enemy. A concept which has been shown in sci-fi movies, Star Wars or Star Trek, ये सब में दिखाते हैं, that's been done already realistically. The whole world of military is changing from people-driven, tank-driven, Air Force-driven to actually AI-driven. And this is happening now. This is not futuristic. Law and order. I mean, in cities of San Francisco, you have these robots kind of going around in some private malls and stuff. Robots going around, basically just monitoring what's going on, just kind of capturing everything, so that if there's a law and order problem, they can alert immediately the police, and police can come there much quicker. Already happening. The human resources, this whole idea of workforce automation. Can you use AI to predict who is about to leave? Can you use AI to predict who should we give a raise to? All these things are again already happening. Media, of course, is a big. Media का example हमने देखा अभी. So again, I'm saying the same point again and again, but that is the crux of my talk here. That everything is a potential application of AI. AI is nothing complicated. It's just better software. It's a software that can learn on its own. So please do not be scared of AI. please don't think AI is only for some computer scientists and people who are, doing research in computer science. No, AI is affecting your life already, and it will keep affecting your life more and more and more. Now, I'm sure some of you are disappointed. You probably wanted some futuristic applications, and you were thinking, can I show some sci-fi things? So that I will show you. I will indulge you also, but please understand that already there's AI has taken over a lot of parts of the world. Lot of things that we are doing today. This Zoom communication, this video filtering, the telecast that you're looking, big portions of that are being controlled by AI. But let me put you three kind of scenarios, like futuristic. What is AI being used for? Now, some of these things are already happening. All of these things are being developed. And in a few years, all of these things will be very routine. The first is understanding the human language, right? Can artificial intelligence catch up to understand human language? And when we say human language ke kai levels hain. I mean, a typical child takes 1 to 2 years to understand human language, right? Jo bachcha bolna chalu karta. But then maturity comes in about, anywhere between 15 and 18 years. And finally, adulthood or kind of the complete grown-up conversations begin around 22, 23, right? So we take about 22, 23 years, typically some less, some more, to completely understand human language. But we have already seen that if AI can understand the human language, then it can scale much faster. That's point one. Point number two, think about the internet. Think about the internet. There's about 4.2 billion pages as of now, and it's already going on, right? The 4.2 billion pages on internet, most of which are written in human language. Kuch alag-alag tarah ke pages hain, I understand that, but a lot of this are written in human language. So if you can teach AI how to understand the human language, because we know it's a software, it's just a computer program, you can throw in so many computers to it. And a machine can actually learn the whole internet and give you the net result of that based on the knowledge and wisdom and experiences there. Maybe good, maybe bad, we don't know what it will be, it's not been done yet. But that is the potential of AI understanding the human language. Because then, now some of these are already there. It can be virtual assistant. Imagine an office where all you're doing is either talking to other people or talking to a virtual assistant, and all your jobs, you have to do nothing. It's being done because that virtual assistant is backed by entire knowledge of your or related to your field of the internet or of your own company or the intranet. Right? That's possible, and that people are working towards that. Translators. I'm sure some of you will catch the spelling mistake here, but this is the best image I could find. Translators. Imagine the barriers broken down, that when I am talking to you, I may be speaking any language. मैं कोई भी भाषा बोलूं. You get to hear it in the language that you understand. Again, rudimentary level, this is already there. Rudimentary level, there are apps that already do that. But then how can we make it seamless? How can we make it fluid? How can we make it at a level where a human is talking to another human and emotional context is flowing and the sentiment is flowing, right? All that work is going on as we speak. Educators, if you take the entire internet, then you can teach on the entire thing. Teach anyone, anywhere. And again, all these things like the course designs, etc., are beginning. Intelligent evaluations are already there. Like some components are already there, and then kind of it's just scaling up. Similarly, authors, this whole field of natural language generation, right? I think it was in, was it 1950? I think it was 1950 when Alan Turing gave his Turing Test. कोई भी अगर computer science में interested है, आपको पता होगा Turing Test. Turing Test is basically, he basically said that Turing Test, a machine passes the Turing Test if the output of it cannot be differentiated by other humans as being a human or a machine. It happened recently, just recently, in terms of in a very, very limited context. It's not a general purpose Turing test, but in a limited context, a machine was writing some articles and humans were judging it. They took a panel of about 750 humans. They were judging whether this article is written by a machine or a human. And I think they couldn't tell, I think about 51% time or something. So the machines are passing Turing tests. And understanding human language is such an important field of development and research, because this is so many implications. You can take one program and scale over the internet and get the entire sum of human language, of human knowledge to work for you. Right? Futuristic? Let's talk about building blocks of life. Let's talk about proteins, right? आप सबने biology पढ़ी है इतनी. Amino acids, building blocks of our life, they come together and form proteins. Proteins are basically chains of amino acids, very, very basic 3 or 4 types of amino acids, which either get polluted or linked in different ways, and they form these proteins. The problem is that while you can visualize it linearly in very easy way, it is very difficult to find the 3D structure of the protein just on the chemical structure. आप उसकी chain तो लिख लेंगे, but वो fold कैसे होती है? And we have just now solved the problem. Just AI, using AI, just like, it's as of last year, we have solved the protein folding problem, right? Implications, you can basically now research the medical history of a disease. अभी COVID के case में ये किया, of a kind of a epidemiology of anything, of the root cause, the medicine that will kill it, the immune response at a much faster rate. The day is not far where people, when you go with a disease, with any disease, it could be any disease, doesn't matter. Or, new virus, now old virus, they will take a swab from your cheek. They will take a, some maybe blood sample or something to understand what the disease is, and predict and make a kind of a medicine there and then. And basically that medicine will be just for you. It won't work on your friends. It will be just for you and will cure the disease there and then. The day is not far where already we're talking about it, what's called humanless trials, right? Because we can predict what the protein is going to do. We can predict which molecules will kill it. And now we are basically saying that why do we need clinical trials? We can already make very safe, non-toxic medicines already. This is as of today. The day is not far where, the genetic research, you can call it eugenics, you can hate it, love it, you can call maybe it's not for humans, it's for things. But, once you understand how the proteins fold, the knowledge of human anatomy and the human systems is going to increase multifold. You'll see the advances the medical science leaps and bounds to in the coming years. You'll just see it, and that's all driven by AI. And this is where, look, these complicated protein structures took billions of years to evolve with life, right? As life kind of kept evolving, trial, error. I mean, evolution is doing the same thing, right? It has a success criteria. It is trying different things and figuring out what is successful. But now, excuse me, given all this technology, you can synthesize proteins sitting in your lab because now you know how it folds. So the protein folding problem is just one problem in a set of things where AI is fundamentally changing the way medicine is practiced. And it's all happening today. And in the next few years, you will see that it's completely changed the game. If we were in a live class, I would have asked you. We are on Zoom, so I can't hear your response. But if we were in a live class, I would have asked you, what is this photograph? Right? It is a planet crossing its star. Why is it important? Because this is how, because when the planet crosses its star, the star's brightness dims out, and this is how you detect exoplanets. Kepler telescope has been out there collecting all this data. right? And the data is impossible to sift humanly. And so they have just outsourced everything. And what are we using to find exoplanets? Daily, like someone or the other is claiming an exoplanet has been found, has been researched, and it's been kind of confirmed. AI. Right? So even when you talk about alien worlds in space, आपका जो भी interest है, you may be interested in just real world problem. Natural language processing is helping you there. You may be interested in human body and medicine and that discipline, and you have AI helping you there. You may be interested in extraterrestrial space, in space research. AI is a fundamental part of it already. So that brings us to our fourth lesson. There's one more, and I would stop in 2-3 minutes. That brings us to our fourth lesson, which is, in addition to everything done today being done better, AI is enabling things that were unthinkable 5 years ago. The things I've talked about, they still sound blasphemous to people, but it's happening. People are working towards it now. A lot of building blocks are already coming in place, and it's only accelerating. Things that were unthinkable 5 years ago, AI is enabling them. By the way, just a quick 30-second kind of digression. The futuristic problems I talked about, at a Global Indian Scientists and Technocrats Forum, we have actually created a database of those problems and found the underlying data. So many times you have data science problems, but not the data there. But we found that data, and we have also made the problem very kind of easy to very hard. So there's a almost 10-step problem. Please check it out. You can use your phone to scan this URL code, or the link is also there. You can probably pause this video and later on and get it. But please check it out and contribute to it, because that's where we can build a whole question base of these kind of problems and get you involved in the futuristic developments of AI. Okay, back to lecture. Last thing, just 1 or 2 more slides. Okay, fine, all this is happening. Now, I'm sure some of you are feeling very unnerved. How does it impact your career? Aapki life kaise impact hogi? And this is what I tell. I call it anchor of artificial intelligence. This is a chart I show everyone. People think AI algorithms is going to rule the world. Problem is, it doesn't work unless you know how to apply it in a particular domain. Right? So we need people who may not know anything about AI, but are experts in their own domain, to take AI and actually apply it and then get something out of it. AI algorithms, but where will the algorithms run? This whole world of IT, which is a kind of a big employer in India and a big sector in India, that is not going anywhere. Because the more you use AI, the more you need IT and computer science. And there's a specialized field called MLOps. Again, these are not artificial intelligence people. They are just engineers who know how to run AI properly. For AI, you need data and data analytics, right? India is very good at that. We are very good at that. And then there's a whole thing of data cleaning and tagging. You don't need any education. You just need the computer literacy to be able to do that, right? So when we say AI is taking over the world, AI needs all these supporting building blocks to be able to perform its function. Similar, and then of course there's business of AI. Somebody has to build companies about it, the marketing department, the sales department, etc. You don't just need engineers. I think in a typical company, excuse me, an AI engineer to rest of the company, the ratio is about 1:10. And you can check it out. You can just look at the public stats of the public companies. And the most importantly, you need users of AI, people who would use AI as a tool to do what they are doing better and to think of unthinkable things in their own domain. So I don't want anyone to think that AI is only for a select few. I don't want anyone to think that AI is something complicated to be, AI is something that we should be afraid of. Actually, AI is for everybody. And I'm putting this page again, I just reminded you, I went through each of them on how everything was part of AI. And that's the 5th lesson. No matter which career you choose, you will be directly or indirectly working with artificial intelligence. So get prepared for it, be open to it, use this as a positive asset to your career, use it as an advantage. It's not complicated again, and it's going to be everywhere. You can't run from it. And that is where, on that point, I will end my talk. Thank you so much.